Hey everybody, welcome back to another lesson here that is flipped. And we're going to be in lesson 8.5, which is on combining percents. So you take notes along with me, and yeah, 8.5. So here we go. This lesson's all about percents. Now, before we get going into the two different kind of percent problems we'll be learning about, we need to recall what we've learned earlier this year about percents, and namely, how do you find a percent of a number? So this first little chunk is just kind of reaching back into the brain and remembering all of the percent learning that we did. So recall, first of all, this is kind of like a little review. Still want you to write it down though. To find a percent of a number, there's two big steps. And I'm going to do kind of an example right along here in red. If we said find 12% of 50. So the first thing you need to do to find a percent, number one, change the percent to a decimal. Change the percent to a decimal. And the way you do that is you take the decimal that is on the percent, wherever it is, and you go backwards 2 spots or 2 swoops. Technically, mathematically, what we're doing is dividing by 100. So if you look at 12%, there's no decimal, which means there's an invisible one at the end. And we're going to go backwards, 1, 2, and that one turns into 0.12. Second thing you want to do, remember, we talked earlier this year about anytime we see the word of in math, and it deals with percents, it means multiply. So multiply our new decimal, which used to be the percent, by whatever value you're dealing with. This time it's 50, and so we're going to take 0.12 times 50. And when you do that, you get 6. We've done problems like that before, but I just want you to be aware we're going to be following these same steps, and I'm going to expect that you know how to do those things, because we're going to take this knowledge now and extend it out into two different type of problems, and these are going to be more word problems. So all of our problems today are going to deal with money, and well, not all of them, most of them are going to deal with money. And the first kind of problem we're going to deal with has to do with tax. And so problem type number 1 are tax problems. Now when you are out shopping, for most things that you purchase, in Minnesota at least, you've got to pay tax, with the exception of clothing. So when you find tax, what we're going to do is we're going to calculate a subtotal, which is almost the total. It's the total without tax. Then we're going to add the tax, and the tax is going to be a percent problem. Most of the time taxes are single-digit percents, and sometimes they even have a single-digit percents with partial percents, like in Edina we pay like 7.625%, I think it is, and so sometimes you get some complicated tax. So we give you an example of this, and then your handout's going to have a bunch more of these too. So let's say that you're out shopping, and you get whatever you're getting, and your total is $56.50. And then you've got to pay tax, additionally, of 6%. So here's what you have to do for that. Our subtotal is already calculated at $56.50. So we've got to take $56.50 times 6% as a decimal. So our decimal's here. We've got to go swoop, swoop, making this 0.06. Carefully get the 0 in there. If it was 0.6, that would be 60%. Now, I'm going to open up my calculator so you can see this. Here's the trickiest part of today. 56.50 times 0.06. $3.39. Now, that one was kind of a nice clean one. A lot of times you'll have to round. That's exactly out to dollars and cents. So $3.39. And this is the amount of tax we've got to pay. Tax is extra, so now we're going to add the tax onto the subtotal. The subtotal is $56.50. Tax was $3.39. So what's that going to be? $59.89. And it's money, so our label goes in as a $, $59.89. So that's tax. So our second kind of problem is discount. It's going to be the exact same thing as the tax. And here it goes. What we're going to do is we're going to have our subtotal. Most of the time it's going to be dollars. Then we're going to calculate the percent using our decimal trick and using multiplication. And then when it's a discount, instead of adding it on, we're going to subtract it from the subtotal. So key difference there, subtract it. So let's do one little example. So let's say, again, you're out shopping and you purchase some things that end up being $89.25. But you have a coupon, and that coupon gets you 15% off your total. So you take your total there of $89.50 or 25 cents. We're going to multiply that by 15% as a decimal, so it goes swoop, swoop, 0.15. And then I'm going to grab my calculator so you can watch me type this one in. So I'm going to go 89.25 times 0.15. Now look at that amount there, 13.3875. Anytime we're dealing with money, we got to round to the nearest penny, which is the nearest hundredth. So there's an 8 right there. Question is, do we leave it an 8 or do we bump it? Well, you look right next to it. That'd be the thousandths place, and there's a 7 there. That's bigger than 5, which means we need to bump that up to $13.39. So don't just write that whole thing down. We're problem solving here. Got to go to the nearest penny. So $13.39 is how much you get to discount. Now think about this. If you're really shopping, the computer actually, which has been programmed, does that rounding part for you. So now it's $89.25 was what we were supposed to pay. We get to take out $13.39, and then we just do a little subtraction. So we'd go $89.25 minus $13.39. It's $75.86. So $75.86 is our new total. And that's it. So if you're getting a discount, you subtract it. I want to see all this work. If you're doing a tax problem like this one up here, you add the tax, and again, I want to see all this work. All right. I'm going to have you pause the video and go pick up your 8.5 handout. All right, we got this this handout right here. So this is going to be your classwork. I want to go through a couple little examples with you here so I can kind of model how I want you to be showing your work. Change each percent to a decimal. You're going to come back and do that one just a little bit. Number 2 says to find a percent of a value, we blank the number by the percent as a blank. We multiply the number by the percent as a decimal. Right? That's the part we talked about right at the beginning of the lesson that we learned back, I think it was like chapter 3 or even 4. And so a little practice on those 3, 4, and 5. I want to go down to number 6 right now, though. You buy a book for $19.99 and have to pay 6% tax. What is your total bill? So we already have a total right there, $19.99. So I'd want you to go $19.99. We're going to multiply that by 6%, so 0.06. Now, again, I want you to see this on the calculator here. So grab my calculator. We're going to go $19.99 times 0.06. Again, this is the toughest part of this whole chapter. So, are you listening right now? Are you? Are you? Because look at this. $1 and how many cents? 19, and then there's an extra 9. This 9 bumps up to the next nearest penny, which is $1.20. So, and I want you to get an exact answer. That's $1.20. That's your tax. We add tax. So your final step's going to be this: $19.99 plus the extra $1.20 makes $21.19. There's your final answer. And just like we always talk about showing work, I want to see that whole thing down there. All right. One more so you can see it. That's number 8. Going on number 8, it says, you buy a shirt at the mall. It's on sale for 20% off. The shirt is originally $24.99. What do you pay? And we don't do tax on this one. So $24.99 is your starting cost. We want to multiply it by 20% as a decimal. So swoop, swoop, 0.20. I'm going to do that in the calculator. So you can see if we have to do any rounding, 24.99 times 0.20, 4998. So it's money. There's a 998. That's 8 in the thousand spot. That's where we're looking. That bumps up because it's bigger than 5 to the next nearest penny. Now 4.99 up a penny is $5. So that is equal to $5. It's a discount. So we would stop and go, okay, it's supposed to be $24.99. We're going to take out those $5, which makes that $19.99. It's money. So get a dollar sign on there. All right, a couple examples for you. The math's not too difficult. The rounding's the key part. The rounding is really, really, really the key part. So do a good job on that part. And